Get in here, grab a seat. You doing okay? Of course you are. You're alive and you're still breathing, aren't you? Best of all, you're about to watch another video from me, the gaming mobster, Screwface Capone. I got a story to tell you. The Don didn't really get into PC gaming until 2007. For the first time ever, I got a laptop that was capable of playing games that weren't emulators, Newgrounds Flash games, or RPG Maker titles. While it obviously wasn't as powerful as the gear I got now, it was good enough for what I needed it to do. At the least, it could run Half-Life 2, The Sims 3, and Crysis. I played a lot of older games such as Command & Conquer, StarCraft, and Quake. This was around the time when Best Buy still sold computer games, and you can get them in those special packages, if you're old enough that you know what I'm talking about. I could also play a good amount of games that were at most only a year or two old. One of the games I was attracted to was Lionhead's The Movies. I love sim games, so it was easy for me to pick up and get absorbed into the game. Running my own film studio, hiring actors and actresses, and of course, creating my own films and uploading them to their online service. This was right in the last year of college. I had a job working weekend overnights at a group home. Because it was overnight, the guys were asleep, so there was only so much I could do. Naturally, my laptop was a huge help getting me through the shift. When I wasn't studying, of course I was gaming, and I spent a lot of time getting my Walt Disney, A24, and Lionhead Studios on. Eventually I would graduate college, go into the workforce, and move on. My console and PC pile of shame grew, and the Don would go on to play other games. Still, the movies held a special place in my heart. Recently, my desire to play this game was rekindled. You see, a while ago I took a look at a game called Moviehouse. In this game I ran my own studio, hired actors, and put out my own movies. Of course, without going into further detail, let's just say that things were lacking. All it really did was make me nostalgic for Lionhead's The Movies. Sometime later, I did a live stream for a demo of a game called Blockbuster. While the game did a better job with the facilities and management aspects, and it felt closer to what the movies did, it lacked the ability to direct your own films, at least in the demo. The full version does have a scene editor, but it was released to mixed reviews. I'll probably take a look at that game sometime later. I decided to get my copy of the movies out of the mothballs, or rather get a copy from abandonware because I'll be damned if I pay again for a game that I already paid for. I then decided to boot it back up and take a look at it and see if it still holds up. The Movies was released in 2005. It was published by Activision and developed by Lionhead. The game was released on PC and was supposed to receive console ports on PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Of course, after a delay, there were rumors of a dead next-gen upgrade. Next-gen at the time, of course, being Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Unfortunately, these were cancelled due to the low sales of the PC version. The Movies would be the last game that was created by Lionhead before it was acquired by Microsoft. Lionhead was a studio ran by Peter Molyneux. Molyneux, as some gamers know, has a bad habit of overpromising and under-delivering. I won't get too much into it. However, if you want to learn more, YouTubers like Commander Sterling and Kim Justice do a great job discussing him, and I'll link to their videos in the description if you want to learn more. If you're familiar with Larry Bundy Jr.'s Fact Hunt series, you know that he loves to take pot shots at him too. Again, all this is another story for another time. I might do a video about Lionhead Studios myself sometime in the future. As for the movies, while it does suffer from some of the same issues that other Lionhead games go through, it's not as bad as something like, say, Fable. Alright, now before I want to hop into this review, I want to show you something because when I ran this, I'm running on a Windows 11 PC, so obviously it's going to have issues running older software. So you're going to want to go to this website because if you're recently downloading this or you're recently booting this up, or maybe you found a secondhand copy, you probably bumped into that error where you see like all the models, the 3D models are in black. So what you want to do is go to this website, ntcore.com. So just click 4 GB patch. This is what you're looking for. Just click that. And of course, you'll download it. So what this is, it's going to use all 4 gigabytes of virtual memory on your own x64 platform. So I already did this stuff myself earlier. So you're gonna unzip it or just open the file. Just double click this application. And afterwards, you're gonna select your movie's executable, which is going to be this one right here. So again, I already did it, so I won't go through all that again. But that should hopefully get you up and running if you're interested in this game yourself. Also, another site that you want to go to is themovies3d.com, and this is where you can download like all the different mods and stuff. So of particular interest is the movie Superstar Edition exclusive content, and I'll talk about this more in the video. So this is where you're gonna get like this basically gives you like all the stuff that was on their online portal, which has been shut down, and of course all the stuff that's in the Superstar Edition, which was only released on the Mac. But this stuff works on Windows too, so obviously a lot of you are playing on Windows, so you should be good. It worked for me too. Plus, there's a ton of other older stuff on here, so just poke around, and there's some pretty cool stuff on here. And I know it's like an older site, so yeah, check it out. And it looks like they're still putting stuff as of 2020, so you got that. So anyway, that's all of that. So let's get back to this review. Oh yeah, I'll be putting both these links in the description, so they'll be there for you. And anyway, let's get back to the review. So the movies can best be described as 2 products in one. It's a sim game in which you run your own movie studio, and it's a piece of software you can use to create machinima. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm reviewing a complete collection with the Stunts and Effects expansion, which is pretty much what it says on the tin, but we'll get to that later. When you install the game, you not only get the game itself, but you also get the Star Maker application, which you can use to create custom stars to use in your movies. You got 3 choices on how to approach the game. You can play the game's campaign, which begins in the 1920s. You can use the Stunts and Effect Quick Start, which starts the campaign in the 1960s, or you can play in sandbox mode. The game's campaign starts in the 1920s and takes you through cinema. You're the owner of a startup film studio. You choose your name and logo, and then hire builders to build stuff, janitors to keep things clean, and of course, actors and directors. Of course, from there, you have to build your stage school, crew facility, casting office, production office, and your first set. After that, things can really begin. Of course, you're just starting off, so you're limited as to what you can do. You have no writers, so you're limited to just making movies out of whatever scripts are delivered to your front door. Soon enough, you'll be able to build a writer's room and hire writers to create scripts. You can make action, sci-fi, horror, romance, and comedy movies. Once you create a script, you then drag it to your production office, then just assign the correct amount of actors, the director, and extras as needed. Once they rehearse the script, it's ready to shoot, provided you have the right amount of crew members. Once the movie's finished, you then send it to the production office, where you can watch your masterpiece and see the reviews. From there, it'll sit there and generate income from your studio until people no longer watch it and it's time to archive it. You also have to make sure you're keeping your stars happy too. That means giving them a decent salary without making the other stars jealous and not overworking them. When they get stressed, you can have them head to a restaurant or a bar to cool off. Of course, there's the danger of them getting an eating disorder or a drinking problem, then it's time to send them to rehab. Of course, they'll also have demands. They'll want trailers and eventually personal assistants. They'll also have issues with image, and you can send them to get a makeover. Later on, you can unlock the option to get cosmetic surgery. Everything is done by a drag and drop interface. You want to hire someone? Wait till a prospective employee is waiting outside a facility, and you can drag them into whatever position you need. Want to create a script? Drag a writer onto whatever genre you want to make. Want to hire a new talent? Pick them up outside the casting school and drag them onto actor or director slot depending on what you need. Want to shoot a script? Just drag it over to your casting office, assign a personnel by dragging them, wait until rehearsing is complete, then drag it into the shooting slot, and so on. You can even adjust your workers' salaries by going to the production office and dragging the information icon to the finance section. Although it's charming in a Lionhead way, at times it tends to be a bit less intuitive than it should be, particularly when I have to fumble between menus in order to find a certain employee for a certain slot. It would be nice if some of the actions were just automated, such as if an employee is stressed out, they simply walk over to whatever facility can help them recover without me having to drag them over. As you progress through the game, you'll unlock new buildings and new technology. When you start out, you're only making silent black and white films. Of course, over time you get to shoot color films as time marches on. Of course, the film quality also improves in later decades as you unlock things like high definition filming. The game's atmosphere also marches on, particularly with the radio stations. The 20s and 30s will see them playing jazz and swing music, the 50s announcer rambles on and on about communism, and the 80s and 90s DJ will play a mix of rock and hip hop. You can speed things up by building a research center and hiring scientists to research certain technologies. Things really open up when you unlock the custom script writing office along the post-production building. The former is pretty much what it says on the tin, while the latter lets you add effects, new music, and subtitles. As you progress, you gain even more stuff, such as a PR firm you can use to promote your movies. When you reach the 1960s, provided you have the stunts and effects pack, you can build a stunt school and hire stuntmen. You can then have your script writers create scripts that utilize stunts, and these can enhance your movie depending on how they turn out. Of course, if your stuntmen get injured, you'll need a hospital to help them recover. Also, you can build stunt training facilities that let your stuntmen practice and take on harder and more dangerous stunts. Later, you can unlock new tech like green screens and custom backdrops if you really want to make your flicks look good. Like with a lot of business simulators, you fall into the trap of overspending, then having to dig your way out of the red. Or at least I did. It seems like there's a certain way that you need to progress as you go through the game, and if you don't do it right, you'll find yourself buried fast. Again, this is nothing new when it comes to simulation games, so just be prepared to do some save scumming. Also, there seems to be a cutoff point to whenever new employees show up. While new stars show up on a regular basis throughout the decades, you don't seem to get many more visits from prospective lot maintenance employees, crew members, or janitors after a certain year. And these are the ones that you need the most, especially when a star wants a new assistant, because you're going to have to use one of these employees to fulfill that need. Thankfully, if you go to the site that I showed you earlier, there's a mod that can increase the amount of employees that show up to be hired. Make sure you install it before you start a new game, and hopefully you won't run into this problem. Because the movies takes place in a living world of sorts, things change over time, and the audience's taste in movies will be affected by things that happen within this world. For instance, if a certain war involving Germany and Japan kicks off, the audiences may want to see more action films. Likewise, if two famous people get married, the audience may be in the mood for romance films. When you're ready to make your own movies, you get a lot of options, and the system is fairly easy to work with. You assign the actors, the length, and the genre. If you need a certain scene, just select the backdrop, in action, and you're good to go. It's also easy to change costumes for an actor. If you're new to the game, you'll definitely want to watch the tutorial movies. The only issue that I got though is that there's no way to go straight into the movie maker mode from the menu. You have to start a game, and that means building the sets that you need, hiring actors, and having the proper facilities. When you want to add text and music, you have to shoot the film, then take it to your post-production building. If you're here to create your own films, then you're better off using the sandbox mode. That way you'll have access to everything, and you can adjust things like your starting budget, whether or not your sets need maintenance, or whether or not your stars will become grumpy. Once you do create your custom movies, you can upload them online to the Lionhead Studio site. Or at least you could until it was taken down several years ago. Of course, it's not a huge loss, as there's this thing called YouTube that's really been picking up. But if you did have movies on there, it did kind of suck to lose them all if you didn't save any backups. But back then, uploading your own custom content to the site can give you credits that you can spend on downloadable props. Don't worry, this was still a few years before microtransactions would become a thing. Of course, this too was shut down, but if you were paying attention earlier, I posted the site where you can get all the good stuff. Of course, like any Molyneux game, there are a number of promised features that didn't make it into the final product, chief among them being a custom scene editor, where you can create custom scenes and animations. Still, compared to Fable, this isn't that bad when it comes to things Peter Molyneux promised and didn't deliver on. Also, I believe there was a custom scene maker out there. I'm not sure if it's still active, but it wasn't exactly what you would call user-friendly. So what do I want to grade this? I think I'll give it a B average. Like I said before, the game's biggest issues is that there's no way to access Movie Maker mode from the main menu, the drag and drop interface tends to make things a bit more tedious than they should be, and the game seems to require a certain type of progression in order for you to remain successful. However, there are a lot of options when it comes to making your movies, there are a lot of things to unlock and discover, and the game does a good job of pulling you in the way most good sim games do. I also like the little touches, such as how world events can influence what films that your audience wants, and how different radio stations change with the times. While the game doesn't have a storyline per se, these things help nail that feeling of progression. Also, as you can see, the game is very moddable. Not only does the community do a good job of addressing some of the problems with the game, but they also add a ton of content. Definitely take a look at that website that I showed you earlier, because there's a ton of cool stuff on there. Shockingly, this game hasn't gotten that much love in the nearly 2 decades since it was first released. You would think by now there would be a remaster, or at least a Steam or GOG.com re-release. The rights to the game seem to be up in the air, as Activision, who's now owned by Microsoft, published it, and Lionhead Studios, who developed it, have long since been shut down. As I stated earlier, Blockbuster Inc. has recently been released to a mixed reception. That's unfortunate, because this is probably the closest we'll ever get to a true sequel to the movies. But also, like I said earlier, I'll be giving it a look at some point, so here's hoping that I'll find it good enough to scratch that itch. But for now, I present to you my directorial debut, Guy Dansen. Well, that was my directorial masterpiece. Guy Dansen is about to become the biggest film franchise in Hollywood. Or at least YouTube machinima. Do people still make machinima on YouTube? Well, enough of that. If you got this far, the Don's got some homework for you. Go to the comments and put in the name of one of your favorite movies. Mine is City of God. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, do me a solid and hit the like button, and also don't forget to share it with your friends. I like to cover indie titles, retro games, and cool gamer related tech. I do everything from tech unboxings, documentaries, to lists, and even retro reviews just like the one you just finished watching. If all this sounds good to you, join the Mafia. All you gotta do is hit that big red subscribe button, and I'll make you a made man. Matter of fact, if you want to do one better, click that bell icon and make sure your notifications are turned on. That way, whenever I drop new content, you'll get the news straight from the Don himself. A few small clicks for you can do me a world of good. It's not an offer you can't refuse, but it's a win-win situation. If you like videos about retro games just like this one, I got more where that came from. Matter of fact, I got a playlist full of them. Matter of fact, it just popped up on your screen, so check it out. In the meantime, have a great week, and I'm Audi 51,000G, y'all.